Over the years, Doctor Who has had its fair share of mysteries, and while the important stuff does tend to get explained in the show, this isn't always the case. Fortunately though, there are other places we can go to get these answers. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with Who Culture, here with 10 Doctor Who mysteries explained outside the show. Number 10. What was the picnic at Asgard? When we first met River Song in the Series 4 two-parter Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, she mentioned 2 adventures yet to take place for the Doctor. The first of these, the crash of the Byzantium, would make it to the screen in the very next River Song story, The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. But the second, the picnic at Asgard, remains a mystery. On TV, that is. Jenny Colgan's 2016 short story of the same name reveals all about this intriguing encounter. And brace yourselves, it's probably not quite what you were expecting. According to this account, Asgard is not some romantic oasis, but a planet-sized theme park. The Doctor, number 11, and River spend a good deal longer there than you might have imagined, having to contend with a malfunctioning mechanical dragon and a dodgy dimensional calibrator before they can get anywhere near their picnic basket. This story is also surprisingly moving, delving deep into River's desire to have children and her reluctance to raise the matter with the Doctor. As a massive River Song fan, I would highly recommend reading this story if you haven't already. Number 9. What happened to Susan? When the first Doctor left his granddaughter Susan in 22nd century London at the end of the Dalek invasion of Earth, he promised that one day he would come back. Decades later, we're still waiting to see him make good on that promise. That said, continuity-wise, it might be more trouble than it's worth to bring Susan back on TV. And that's because she has in fact been reunited with her grandfather, or grandmother, in other mediums. On audio, Susan has enjoyed numerous adventures alongside the 8th Doctor, and we even met her son, the Doctor's great-grandson Alex. Meanwhile, in prose, the 2020 short story Fellow Traveller saw Susan come face-to-face with the 13th Doctor. Most recently, Big Finish has covered the 2 extremes of Susan's life, with 2021's After the Daleks detailing the immediate aftermath of the Daleks' occupation, and 2020's Susan's War exploring her involvement in the Time War. Continuity issues aside, it would be brilliant to see Carol Ann Ford reprise the role one more time, especially given that the other surviving member of the original TARDIS team, William Russell, recently returned to the show. Russell T Davies has even been teasing Susan's return, so it's not out of the question, and we broke these teasers down even more in our recent discussion video, so be sure to check that out as well. Number 8. Who was on the laptop in the Companion Support Group? How many people attended the inaugural meeting of the Companion Support Group? There was Yaz, Dan and Graham, plus Kate Stewart, then Ace, Mel, Tegan, Joe and Ian. So 9, right? Well, although only 9 members appeared in person, there may have been many other virtual participants, as implied by the empty chair which, on closer inspection, is holding a laptop, tantalizingly placed with its back to us viewers. In the episode, we never find out what the laptop was for. However, the power of the Doctor's shooting script reveals that we were originally meant to see that screen. Further still, writer Chris Chibnall even cites some of the companions he intended to appear: Martha, Ryan, Jackie, and Benny! Just kidding, not Benny. But Jackie Tyler though? Seriously? How would she have logged in from a parallel universe? Maybe Zoom is interdimensional in Pete's world. According to Chibnall on the episode's commentary, Freema Agyeman and Tosin Cole were both approached but were sadly unavailable, which is very disappointing, but it does also mean that the laptop can act as a tribute to those companion actors who are no longer with us, allowing for the possibility that their characters were taking part too. I know that I personally saw Elizabeth Sladen's name flying around quite a lot, and the suggestion that that empty chair was there in memory of her, and so I really like the suggestion that by not seeing who was sat there, you can extend it to those who are no longer with us. Number 7. When does the 2 Doctors take place for the 2nd Doctor? At first glance, there's nothing to distinguish the return of the 2nd Doctor in the 2 Doctors from the return of any other Doctor in any other multi-Doctor story. But on closer inspection, things don't quite add up. For one thing, he looks considerably older than he did in his own era. And sure, that's not the end of the world. After all, Patrick Troughton isn't an actual Time Lord, and he did age in the interim. The problem comes when you try and work out where, from the 2nd Doctor's perspective, this story actually takes place. In The Two Doctors, he states that he's working for the Time Lords, but on screen he didn't have any contact with the Time Lords until his final story, The War Games. So what's going on? Ultimately, Doctor Who fans decided that there's only one explanation, that The Two Doctors doesn't take place within the Second Doctor's era, but after it. This theory, commonly referred to as Season 6B, suggests that there's a whole series of adventures between the War Games, when the Second Doctor regenerates, and Spearhead from Space, where the Third Doctor debuts, in which the Second Doctor carried out secret missions for the Time Lords. This also explains his older appearance in The Two Doctors. Though never confirmed on TV, Season 6B was canonised by Terrance Dicks in novels such as World Game and Players, and has provided the basis for numerous other adventures, including Big Finish's ongoing Beyond War Games series. Number 6. What was the Hybrid? The Hybrid is arguably the most obtuse series arc Doctor Who has ever had. It was first mentioned in The Witch's Familiar when Davros described a prophecy about a hybrid composed of two warrior races and suggested that these races might be the Daleks and the Time Lords. The following episodes continued to tease this arc, i.e. the Doctor saying that Ashilda was a hybrid in a way, after fusing her with a Maya medical kit. But it wasn't until the series finale that we got something more concrete. And even then, fans were left wanting, because all we got was a series of theories suggested by the Doctor and Ashilda. Could the hybrid be the Doctor? Could it be Ashilda? Or could it refer to the pairing of the Doctor and Clara, companions who are willing to push each other to extremes? Quizzed in his Doctor Who magazine column, writer Stephen Moffat was more forthcoming, stating that Clara was the precise motivator that would drive the Doctor to an extreme that was dangerous for all time and space, and that the coming of the hybrid would be the result of their association. So that settles it! Thank God he didn't canonise the half-human thing. Number 5. What happened to Adam Mitchell? Making his debut in Series 1 story Dalek, Adam Mitchell didn't last long as a companion. He was booted out the TARDIS in his very next story when he attempted to use the futuristic technology of Satellite 5 for his own ends. This left him on Earth with a hole in his head, and we never saw him again. Well, on screen, that is. In a move that no one saw coming, comic book company IDW chose to make Adam the main antagonist of its 12-part 50th anniversary epic Prisoners of Time. The strip reveals that following his expulsion from the TARDIS, Adam embarked on a revenge plot against the Doctor, capturing many of his companions and holding them hostage with a little help from the Master. In the end, Adam chooses to do the honourable thing, sacrificing himself to put an end to the Master's plans. He's even able to restore his companion's status somewhat, given a tombstone which bears the inscription, "A Companion True." It's the sequel no one was asking for, but it turned out to be pretty damn cool. Number 4. How did Missy become the Spy Master? The introduction of a new master at the end of Spyfall raised the eyebrows of many fans. Exciting as it was to meet the Sacha Dhawan incarnation, there was also a pressing question on everyone's lips. How? Practically every master story ends with the character meeting their apparent demise, only to reappear unscathed in future stories, with no logical explanation. But Missy, the incarnation immediately prior to Dhawan's Spy Master, is a special case. Over the course of Series 10, viewers had seen her come around to the Doctor's way of thinking, to the point where she was prepared to stand with him against the Cybermen. That is, until she was killed by the Saxon Master. But in Spyfall, this redemption arc and her death has been completely forgotten. For some fans, this was a discrepancy too big to gloss over, with many insisting that the Spy Master must have come before Missy. But for those wanting to stick to a more linear chronology, Big Finish has offered an alternative explanation. Released just a few months after Spyfall, Missy Series 2 posits that following her death, Missy's goodness was distilled into a new incarnation, the Lumiat. Mirroring Missy's own fate, the Lumiat is killed by her previous incarnation. The Master's kindness is implied to have been completely purged in the process, paving the way for a more traditionally evil incarnation. If you're confused, think of it like the Valiard, but the opposite way. So instead of all the Doctor's evilness that the Valiard is, the Lumiat is all the goodness of Missy or the Master purged into a being. Number 3. Why did the 6th Doctor regenerate? Not every Doctor regenerates at the end of their final story, and not every regeneration scene features both the outgoing and incoming actors. Regrettably, Colin Baker's 6th Doctor is the only one for whom both things are true. Having been unceremoniously sacked, Baker was offered the chance to reprise the role for his regeneration before handing over to Sylvester McCoy. He refused. However, the production team still needed to show the 6th Doctor's regeneration take place. As a last resort, they had McCoy play both incarnations, with the help of a not entirely convincing wig. Due to the hastiness of the scene, no explicit cause was ever given for the Sixth Doctor's death, and if that wasn't enough, his last line became by default the last words he'd spoken in the previous season: carrot juice. Hardly Shakespeare, is it? Fortunately, Big Finish would go on to remedy this with the 2015 audio The Last Adventure, providing the Sixth Doctor with the send-off he always deserved. His death is retconned into something much more heroic, a sacrifice to foil the latest plot of the Valiard, and his farcical last line is replaced with the much more poetic "Our future is in safe hands." A worthy end for a much maligned Doctor. Number 2. What happened to Jenny? Jenny, the Doctor's daughter, was originally conceived as a one-hit wonder with no chance of return. She was originally supposed to die for good until an offhand comment by Stephen Moffat secured her resurrection. With Jenny's ending revised, the door was open for a return. So why did we never see her again? Well, we did actually, just not in the show. In the expanded universe, Jenny has gone on to meet other Doctors and has even been granted her own Big Finish spin-off, Jenny, the Doctor's daughter. Over 2 series, she has so far encountered Ood, Cybermen, and Dorian Maldavar. Elsewhere at Big Finish, she's come face to face with Lady Christina de Souza and the 5th Doctor, played by her real-life father, Peter Davison. This followed a reunion with the 12th Doctor in the Titan Comics crossover The Lost Dimension, as well as a fleeting cameo in Prisoners of Time as one of the companions captured by Adam. With Tennant once again in the title role, could Jenny finally make an on-screen return as part of the 60th anniversary specials? Stranger things have happened, just saying. Number 1. What did the 14th Doctor do after regenerating? Following his debut in The Power of the Doctor, the 14th Doctor's adventures will begin in the 60th anniversary specials, right? Well, sort of. Sure, we'll have to wait until November to see David Tennant himself back in the role, but if you can't wait that long for your next 14th Doctor fix, Doctor Who magazine has you covered. That's because the magazine's comic strip is currently providing the official continuation of 14's story. Just as the 2005 minisode Born Again bridged the gap between the 10th Doctor's first scene and debut episode, this ongoing strip plugs the gap between The Power of the Doctor and the 60th, picking up directly after the 13th Doctor's regeneration and leaving off, well, who knows where. For those who can track it down, it's well worth a look, not least because, spoilers, it reunites the new Doctor with one of his oldest foes. As revealed at the end of Part 1, this saga isn't simply titled Liberation, as originally billed, but Liberation of the Daleks. With plenty of other audacious twists and turns so far, and loads more still to come, Liberation of the Daleks is essential reading. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed any, then please do let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell so you never miss a Who Culture video ever again. Also, head over to Twitter to follow us there and Instagram as well. I've been Ellie with Who Culture. And in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.